Now, I know what I'm about to say is very irrelevant to the grand scheme of things of this episode of Love and Lies, but I need to talk about it because that shit pissed me off considerably. Now, it's not necessarily bad, like it doesn't make the episode horrible. I'm just saying it pissed me off just because it's like a pet peeve. There was a scene in this episode when Neji was asked to pick up a box and carry it to the back room. And as soon as he goes to pick it up, there is no tape on the bottom and everything falls out. Just let me quickly just ask, why the fuck would you ask someone to take a box to a certain location and you don't even have the bottom fucking taped? Now, don't even get me started and say, oh, but Chibi, he probably wasn't ready. It doesn't matter. He put a shit ton of things inside of the box. So that means he was going to fucking pick it up without tape on it. Like, yo. Neji was set up. Neji was set up in that moment. He was fucking set up. Like, that was some bullshit. That was legit bullshit. Like, you serious right now? Like, you are putting all those items inside of a box. You don't even have tape under it? Like, yo, oh my god. Like, that shit made me angry. I was heated when I saw that moment. Just because, why would you do that? It's messed up. I hate people that do that. That is something that really aggravates me, even in real life, when someone has they ask you to do something, but then they're not even fucking ready with it. I mean, Okay. Anyways, let's talk about the episode of Love and Lies. So, this episode had a lot of information. It tackles something that was introduced in the first episode, and we've been waiting to see where it was going to go. And that is the notices. For instance, who would be the assigned husband and wife. And if you remember, at the beginning of the series, you had to where Misaki, her actual notice popped up for Neji. Neji was going to marry her. He saw it on, like, his email notification. He's like, yo, what the hell? Like, we're gonna get married. But then it flashed away and all that. And then, the actual paper was brought up to say, oh, you're marrying, Ririna. And he was like, what the fuck? But this differently. And so, basically, that was finally tackled in this episode. And it was officially confirmed how the process is done. Apparently, the paperwork is done first, and then the email notifications are done last. So that means that things could definitely change between point A and point B. However, judging by what is going on here, he was still destined to marry Ririna, but someone definitely tampered with the email notification to Neji. Because it was revealed, thanks to the government employee, that something definitely happened. When the email was sent in, something happened that was very off and odd, and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. So, someone clearly tampered with the email notification to Neji to make it look like he was going to be with, Misaki. So, when you think about it like that, the only logical conclusion you could think is most likely it is the white-haired girl that obviously is a good friend to Misaki, because we see that she's constantly asking about Neji, or she's looking at Neji and trying to determine, like, if he likes her or whatever, or if he got a so-and-so message, because that's where we were getting the information from in this episode. So it's safe to assume that she was probably the one to tamper with the message somehow. Either she's a super hacker, or she has connections to where she can, change things in the government. One or the other. But it's clear as day that she is definitely connected to whatever happened. And now I wonder how that's going to go. I mean, I wonder if it will be made official, if he can actually be with, the person he wants to be with, or if we will still have to marry Rina and take the penalty. That is what I'm very curious about. But anyways, though, with that being said, I highly doubt we'll probably get our answer, because I've seen a lot of anime, I've seen a lot of romance and drama anime, and usually series that have 12 episodes, especially when it's focused around romance, you don't get that conclusion. You don't. It just ends the story. You don't usually get that conclusion. So I'm expecting to kind of still be left in the dark in next week's episode and not really have a conclusion on who his assigned wife is. However, if it does go the route and reveals it, I'll be very shocked. But that most likely will mean that it's going anime only. Yeah. So let's talk about the other important part in this episode, the Romeo and Juliet scene. Romeo and Juliet is a classic. It's a story I think many of us have heard some point in our lives, and it's definitely something that is a very reoccurring theme in romance. in general. It's a very big story, especially in anime, and when it's an anime focused around school life and all that, and romance, usually you see where the characters love to do the Romeo and Juliet play. That is a big thing you see in constant anime series and manga, so it's definitely something that is not original. However, the message of the Romeo and Juliet play, it was very powerful. It was still very powerful, and the message behind it was to indicate that Nisaki and how Misaka feel about Neji, it's very powerful. They have all these emotions, but they realize that it's not destined to be. It's not possible for them to be with him. Because if they do, it'll just end in tragedy, which is very, very true. And so, when they were talking and voicing their lines and all that for the play, all of that was directed at Neji. Everything they were saying, they weren't saying it to each other. They were saying these certain words towards Neji. And you can even get it from this scene because the camera pans over to Neji and you get to see him in the focus while they're saying their lines, which means that that's who they were saying it to. They were saying all these things to him, not to each other. And it was a very sad moment. It really makes you understand what the message of this play was and what makes this series so sad, which you know how I feel about sad series and stuff. It's pretty nice. But still, it's very sad. And seeing how Neji probably didn't realize that, it hurts your heart even more. Because if they really tried to go for him, then it would just end up in a very sad state. Because Neji would have to give up his entire future just to be with them. And that was sad. Anyways, though, let's talk about the designs. So, the Romeo and Juliet designs for the characters. You know how it's gender bent? Love both designs. Very, very, very adorable designs. Nisaki's design really surprised me. I'm not one to really like characters that are traps or whatever. I don't. But still, I will admit that Nisaki looked really good in terms of just character design in that outfit. I won't even fucking deny. I'm not gonna deny it. I won't. And we come to find out that the man is a tsundere. He's a straight-up tsundere. When he, like, puts his head over his shoulder, he's like, Baka. You're like, oh my god, this man's a tsundere. He's confirmed tsundere. So, we have Nisaki confirmed tsundere, and apparently he can cross-dress quite well. Oh yes, he definitely can. And I was very, very shocked about that scene. So, overall, I feel like the latest episode of Love and Lies, it definitely tackled something many of us have been wanting to see. For instance, the actual clarification of whatever that notification was in the first episode. But also, we're getting to see more scenes wrapped around the main cast. Nisaka and also Misaki, getting to see them a little bit with more focus, and seeing how, once again, them loving Neji is very tragic and sad. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.